Hello, I am Ginkgo Sequoia and I'm author of the book The Tree Mystic. This video is about sharing the people that you love. Before I start with the recital, I'd just like to tell you how the extract was inspired. I was running a hostel. Evening entertainment included a philosophy school and a language exchange. The previous week I had been speaking to my friend Julie. She told me that she was just about to go on holiday with her ex-boyfriend. She added that her current live-in girlfriend was delighted. She said, because she loves me so much, she just wants me to be happy. I thought about that, and at the next philosophy class, there were representatives from 24 different countries sitting around the table. And I opened up the conversation with these words: let's talk about what's interesting about sharing. The group discussed sharing bikes, computers, and eventually lovers. Here, the consensus was that it's not good to share the people that you love. It's bad for the children and bad for the relationship. The religious within the group were also keen to point out that it was immoral. Then, a lady of a certain age, in fact an Eskimo from the Lapland, put her hand up. She clearly didn't agree. What she said inspired the passage that I'm about to read from the book. Appolline's smile returned. I quite like the idea of sharing everything. I realise now that owning things makes us worry about losing things. Solly rubbed his hands together. I am pleased to hear that you embraced sharing. Oh, to be truthful, I didn't bring many possessions to India, so it hasn't been a big challenge. Oh, I wasn't referring to your possessions. When you said sharing, I assumed that you wanted to share your partner and your children. Apolline wasn't sure how to reply to that. Solly wrung his hands again. Imagine that you were gifted with good looks, good fortune, and a good husband. Imagine that in the area where you lived, other women were not so fortunate. That because of a shortage of men, as happens, for example, in times of war, that these other women were unable to find a partner or a husband. Could you share your husband? This time, at least Apolline's mouth opened. Consider that these other women may be deprived of companionship, love, affection, and shared experiences. Now ask yourself, is it right that you keep your husband to yourself so that you have everything whilst they have nothing? Is it right that you are blissfully happy whilst these other women are so desperately lonely? Ask yourself if loving your husband all by yourself makes you a loving person or if it makes you unloving. Does morality supersede love? Or is love something that melts morality? Are the teachings of your church moral? Or are they unloving? Once again, Apolline had nothing to say. Solly continued. Now, ask yourself if you should keep all your children for yourself. Could you share them? Could you give some of your children away to those couples that don't have any? Could you give some of them to the lonely ladies who can't find a husband, who then have their unhappiness compounded by also being unable to have a child. By this time, Appeline's arms and legs were in a twist. However, Solly hadn't finished. If you have a happy family, could you bring an orphan who is all alone in the world into your house to share your happiness, knowing that that child's insecurities might bring disruption instead of joy to your own family? He could see that her body had become limp, and so he touched her palm. I say all this because it appears that only when we understand the true meaning of sharing can we understand the true meaning of loving. Know this too: no one truly loves anything until they are happy to share it or even see it fly away. We learn from this that love sits higher than morality. There's more on sharing and shocks for poor old Appeline later in the book. That's all for now. You can read more of the book by purchasing it at Amazon or on thetreemystic.com. Thank you for listening and watching. Goodbye.